Hey girl, welcome back to the Her Best Self podcast. I want to start today with a sentence that genuinely changed how I think about recovery, about coaching, about the work that I do with each of you listeners, and of course, my private clients, literally about my whole life. The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you ask yourself. I want you to sit with that for a moment. It's not the quality of the answers. It's not the quality of the result. It's the input, the questions. Because most of us are walking around asking ourselves terrible questions on repeat every single day. Like, why can't I get this right? What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? And then we wonder why we feel stuck. But we're asking questions that can only ever pull up the weeds, sis. And I want you to use coaching. And even in today's show, I'm going to give you some questions that you can coach yourself on. These are some of the things that I do with my private clients. But I want you to get to the root, not the weed. So today, I want to share 4 questions that we recently worked through together in the Recovery Collective. And this is the group that I host with women every other Wednesday night. It is an intimate space because I believe in this tool down to my bones. I believe in the right questions to get your brain flowing and reflecting. And I wanted to give you a little sneak peek into that space in case you've been wondering whether it's for you, you've been wondering what we do there. And a shout out to the ladies that are in the Recovery Collective. You know who you are. I love you, friend. And let's get into it. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsey, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess trapped in a destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it so you can start living your best life as your best self. Here's what I've learned speaking with so many women, coaching women all over the world. And yes, I've had the privilege to do that. But the breakthrough is almost never in the answer. It's in the question. And a good question gets to the root of the issue, to the problem, to the concern, to what is in our heart. But a bad question just keeps you circling the weeds. I was actually outside over the weekend and my husband just did some landscaping in the front of our garden area. And I noticed that the daggone poison ivy was coming back. And I was like, what is going on? We're just getting the top. We're pulling the weed every single time he goes out there to do the landscaping, because obviously I don't want him to get poison ivy everywhere, but he's not getting to the root. And it had me thinking, a good question gets to the root. What is underneath the surface? When you ask what's wrong with me, why am I like this? Why do I struggle with an eating disorder? Your brain will actually go looking for evidence of why that's true. It will hand you a list, friend, because that's how the mind works. It answers what you ask it. So if you ask small, shaming questions, you're going to get small, shaming answers, and you're going to have a small, shaming life. And that is just the honest realness. But when you can learn to ask better questions, deeper, braver, kinder questions, something shifts inside. You're going to start excavating the truth. You're going to start pulling out the weeds and getting to the root. You're going to start getting underneath all the noise. And that, sis, is so much of what coaching actually is. It's not someone handing you answers. It is often someone asking you the question that no one has really ever asked you, and then you being brave enough to sit in the silence while you find what's been there all along. And your answers can change these questions. And so last night, I had the privilege to work with some amazing, incredible women that have trusted me in their recovery journey. And we get together every other Wednesday and we have a recovery collective session that is roughly an hour. Sometimes we go over because Lindsey likes to talk. I mean, what am I going to say? But we sit there and we talk together about the struggles they're facing, the wins they're having, what is coming up for them in their minds and in their lives, and just all of the things. And one of the questions that I asked them to think about for the week was, what would you do if you could not fail? And I love this question because fear of failure keeps so many of us frozen. We don't start because we might not finish something. I almost didn't even start this podcast because I didn't think anyone would care. I mean, who am I to start a show, right? But we only don't reach where we want to be because we fear that we might fall in the process. But when you can remove failure from the equation, even just in your imagination, your real desires, they come to the surface. That dream of freedom, that passion inside of your heart, the life that you've been afraid of wanting because you're terrified to gain weight. So I'll ask you this, and this is the way that I asked the ladies. If you knew, like really knew, that you could not fail at recovery, at the dream in your heart for freedom, at the life you so deserve, what would you do? I don't want you to edit this answer. I just want you to sit with it honestly, because the answer of that is who you actually are underneath the fear. And we got to talking, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because, some of you will come in my inbox and you'll say, Lindsey, I love listening to your show. I want to work with you. How can I do that? And I'm not so sure that everyone knows, because sometimes I can keep things hidden behind the scenes because I take pride in having a clientele of women that fully entrust me in their journey and are serious about getting healthier and better. And so I offer two different things. I offer a one-on-one container where I work with you privately through your recovery journey. That is a special container. And if you're interested in learning about that and the way that you can work with me through your journey, you can go to herbestself.co and fill out an application there. The other way is the Recovery Collective. This is a support group that we really take applicants seriously because we want to make sure that it fulfills the mission and the values that we have for this group, right? We don't want to create triggering environments. We know that it's going to be a vulnerable space, but these ladies are literally life-changing for me on so many levels. And if you're listening to this and you're one of my ladies, you know who you are. But seriously, the amount of work that is happening there, it really is life-changing, because I truly believe that the power of recovery requires community. And so when you're asking these questions and you're surrounded by people that want you to win, and they're all dealing with the same things that you're dealing with, like food restriction and compulsive exercise and skipping the walk and deciding to have the carbs, like all of those things, and they want you to win when family around you and husbands and spouses and friends and parents don't understand, you have a way of growing because you're in the room. It's inevitable. And so that's another offer that I will bring to all of my podcast listeners and everyone that's in my corner and my space in the world, because I truly believe that both, and even working together in alignment, is going to get you where you need to be. So if you're interested in joining the Recovery Collective, we are open up for women to join us in that space. You can go to herbestself.co/recovery collective if you're interested. It is a monthly membership with no strings attached. You can cancel at any time. The second question that we talked about last night was, how are you really? And we didn't get to go into all the details with this one because we spent majority of the time, like we go deep into the fear of failure. And actually, is that a fear of succeeding? Because so many of us, we know when we're going to go all in on something, including recovering from an awful illness, that we just aren't going to let go of that. Like, we are going to do it and we're going to crush it and we're going to get the result. And so I often find that ladies come to me and they feel that they are scared to fail. But when we can kind of, again, get to that root, it's not the fear of failure that holds us back. It's the fear of succeeding and what that would mean for you. Who you would have to be, the woman you would have to become, your very best self, in order to hold that identity of somebody that does no longer have an eating disorder or disordered eating behaviors. And so the second question goes really into a very similar place when we ask, how are you really? Because that word really, it changes a lot, right? How many times a day do you say I'm fine when you're absolutely not fine? I talk about my husband, and I will say this all the time, and he's, Lindsey, I know you. I've known you for almost 20 years. I know that's a surface level answer. In the collective last night, when I asked this, I watched softening happen because most of them haven't been asking this for a long time, and not in a way that you actually probably mean it when you ask yourself this question. And so I dared them, and I'm now daring you to ask yourself, not fine being the response, but how are you really? You're allowed to tell the truth, even if the only one listening right now is you. Okay, friend? The third question that I wanted to share today, that I shared with the ladies, is one that undoes people. And if you're a client of mine, you have probably received this question from me because I want you to dig deep into things outside of your body, things that are actually who you are. Because we think that our worth is in how we look, right? But this isn't in how you look. This isn't in what you do. This question is, why are you worth knowing? Not what you accomplish or provide or perform or how you look, but why are you, the person underneath all of it, get to the root, worth knowing? So many of the women that I work with have spent years being valued for their output, right? Me included with skating. Their helpfulness, their kindness, their ability to hold it all together when the world is falling apart. And when I ask them to name why they're worth knowing, apart from any of that, any of those accomplishments, there's often this long pause and sometimes tears. Because somewhere along the way, they stopped believing that they were worth knowing just as they are. Sis, you are. And learning to answer this question, to actually finish the sentence, I'm worth knowing because, is some of the most important work you're ever going to do. So I love that you're listening to today's episode because you can start thinking about this in your own life. And the fourth and final question that I want to share with you is, what does freedom mean to you? Not freedom in the abstract sense, but yours. Because if you're going to walk towards something, you have to be able to envision it and picture it in your mind. For one woman, freedom is eating at a restaurant without doing the math, right? And for another, it might be being fully present at her kid's birthday. And for another, it's quiet. It's just a quiet mind for the first time in years, being able to spend the rest of her days with her husband and not think about what they're going to have for dinner. But when you name what freedom actually looks like for you, it stops being a someday fantasy and it becomes a destination that you can actually move towards. So what does it mean to you? I want you to get super specific. So do you see, friend, what these 4 questions have in common? Not one of them is about fixing anything broken inside of you. Not one is about a behavior or a rule or a number. They go underneath the surface of all of that to desire and to honesty and to worth and to vision and to so much more. And that's the difference between pulling a weed and then getting to the root. And it's why I believe so deeply in the power of being coached, because a good coach doesn't just hand you a plan. She asks you the questions that help you find the answers that are inside you the entire time that you're just not seeing. This is exactly what we do together in the Recovery Collective. And this is exactly what we do in support together in Her Best Self Co. Because it is so important that we ask brave questions and we have a space to sit with the real answers. We carry those between sessions and we carry each other. If something in you just leaned forward as you were listening to this and you're like, I just simply am tired of doing this alone. I don't even know if I know what questions to ask myself. I would love for you to start here with today's episode. Answer these questions. Do something with this show. And if you're looking for community, I would also love to invite you into ours. You can find everything about the Recovery Collective at herbestself.co. Come and see if it is your next step. There is a seat waiting at the table here for you and a whole circle of women who get it. This week, remember these 4 questions. Don't rush them. Let them work on you and in you, because the quality of your life, sis, really is a reflection of the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. Friend, I hope today's show has given you some reflection, and I want you to know that I so care for you. You do not have to do this recovery journey alone. I'd love to help support you. I would love to help be there and be your biggest ally. And of course, I'm so thankful for your listen of the podcast. I'll see you real soon on another episode. Bye for now. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.